Welcome to True Crime Teejan. Today, we dive into Baldwin Hills, where wealth hides a deadly secret. A real estate agent, her devoted husband, and a former NBA star become entangled in a love triangle that ends in blood. This is the chilling story of Simone, Marcus, and Teejan, a tale so twisted, you won't know who to trust. In the sun-drenched sprawl of Los Angeles County, where the iconic silhouette of palm trees etched against the azure sky formed a familiar backdrop to lives both ordinary and extraordinary, lived Simone and Marcus. Simone, a woman whose vibrant energy mirrored the city's pulse, excelled as a top-performing real estate agent. Her smile possessed a radiant quality, capable of disarming even the most skeptical clients, and her eyes held the warmth of countless California sunsets. Marcus, her husband, was a celebrated architect, his innovative designs gracing the city's ever-evolving skyline. His reputation for meticulous detail and visionary concepts had earned him both respect and admiration within his field. Their home, a modern architectural gem nestled in the prestigious hills of Baldwin Hills, was more than just a residence, it was a tangible representation of their shared aspirations, a sanctuary built on a foundation of love and mutual respect. Yet, beneath the veneer of their seemingly perfect life lay a secret, a clandestine affair that cast a long, ominous shadow over their sun-drenched existence. Before Marcus had become the steadfast presence in Simone's life, there was Teejan. A towering figure, his name synonymous with the electrifying energy of Los Angeles basketball, Teejan was a celebrated player whose prowess on the court had earned him legions of devoted fans. Simone and Teejan's relationship had been a passionate tempest, a whirlwind romance played out under the relentless glare of the paparazzi's lenses and the insatiable curiosity of the public. Theirs was a love story punctuated by sold-out arenas, glamorous parties, and the intense scrutiny that comes with dating a celebrity athlete. But, as is often the case with such intensely burning flames, their connection eventually flickered and faded, leaving behind the smoldering embers of shared memories and the lingering echo of unspoken possibilities. Years drifted by, and Simone found a different kind of happiness, a deeper, more stable contentment, in her life with Marcus. Their love was a quiet symphony, built note by note through shared laughter, whispered confidences, and the comforting familiarity of knowing each other's deepest vulnerabilities. Teejan, too, had moved on, his career taking him across state lines and even overseas, his personal life a constantly shifting landscape of fleeting connections against the backdrop of his demanding professional schedule. But the past, with its intricate web of emotions and experiences, has a way of resurfacing when least expected. A chance encounter at a high-profile charity auction, a fleeting exchange of pleasantries amidst the glittering throng, was all it took to reignite the dormant spark between Simone and Teejan. Their initial meetings were seemingly innocuous, a nostalgic stroll down memory lane, a casual catching up on the years that had passed. Yet, with each subsequent meeting, the stolen glances lingered for a fraction longer, the accidental touches became subtly more intimate, and the late-night text messages evolved into hours-long phone conversations that stretched until the first blush of dawn. Simone found herself inexplicably drawn back into Teejan's charismatic orbit, the intoxicating thrill of their past romance a stark contrast to the comfortable, predictable rhythm of her present life. Teejan, for his part, saw in Simone a familiar warmth, a genuine connection that had been conspicuously absent amidst the transient nature of his current relationships. Their secret affair began to blossom in the hushed corners of the city, in dimly lit restaurants where they hoped to avoid recognition, in hurried, clandestine meetings in out-of-the-way hotels. Each stolen moment was a rush of adrenaline, a delicious act of defiance, and an increasingly dangerous gamble with the lives they had carefully constructed. The affair was a perilous high-wire act, and Simone lived in constant fear of her meticulously crafted world collapsing around her. Marcus, a man of keen intellect and observant nature, though deeply engrossed in the demanding intricacies of his architectural projects, was not entirely oblivious to the subtle shifts in Simone's demeanor. He noticed a newfound guardedness in her eyes, a fleeting sense of unavailability that troubled him. He initially attributed it to the pressures of her competitive real estate career, the constant need to network and close deals. However, a persistent unease began to take root in his mind, a quiet, nagging whisper of doubt that he tried to suppress but couldn't entirely ignore. Teejan, accustomed to the spotlight and a life lived in the public eye, grew increasingly impatient with the constraints of their secrecy. The initial thrill of their forbidden encounters began to wane, replaced by a growing desire to have Simone fully back in his life, without the need for clandestine meetings and hushed conversations. He viewed their rekindled connection as something profound, a love that had merely been interrupted by the vagaries of life and circumstance. He began to exert pressure on Simone, subtly at first, then with increasing insistence, urging her to leave Marcus, to publicly acknowledge their renewed romance and embrace a future with him. "Simone, we were meant to be together," he would often murmur, his voice a low, resonant rumble that sent a familiar shiver down her spine, a sensation she had almost forgotten. "This sneaking around, these stolen moments, it's not sustainable. It's not fair to either of us. You deserve to be with someone who isn't afraid to shout their love for you from the rooftops, someone who appreciates the incredible woman you are." Simone found herself trapped in a maelstrom of conflicting emotions. She genuinely loved Marcus, his unwavering kindness, his quiet strength, the secure and loving home they had built together brick by painstaking brick. But the potent allure of Teejan, the magnetic pull of their shared history, the echoes of a passion that had once consumed them both, was a powerful and persistent force that she struggled to resist. The comfort and stability she found with Marcus often felt stifling in comparison to the exhilarating, albeit chaotic, energy she experienced with Teejan. The precarious balance of Simone's double life finally shattered on a sultry evening in late July. Simone and Teejan had arranged to meet at a secluded overlook point, a hidden gem nestled in the hills, offering a breathtaking panoramic view of the sprawling city below. The twinkling lights that stretched out like a carpet of diamonds seemed to mock the turmoil that raged within Simone's heart. Teejan had just returned from a triumphant out-of-town game, the palpable energy of his victory still radiating from him. "I can't keep living like this, Simone," he declared, his voice imbued with a newfound firmness. "I love you, and I know, deep down, that you still love me too. It's time. Tell Marcus. Tell him the truth, so we can finally be together, openly, without all this secrecy." A wave of icy panic washed over Simone. The mere thought of confessing her infidelity to Marcus, of witnessing the devastation in his eyes, of shattering the carefully constructed edifice of their marriage, filled her with an overwhelming sense of dread and impending doom. "I can't, Teejan," she whispered, her voice barely audible, trembling with a mixture of fear and desperation. "It would utterly destroy him. It would obliterate everything we've built together, everything that's good in my life." "Then I will," Teejan retorted, his jaw tightening with a resolve that sent a chill down Simone's spine. "He deserves to know the truth, Simone. He deserves better than to be kept in the dark like this. And frankly, I'm tired of being some dirty little secret you have to hide away." Simone's blood ran cold. Teejan and Marcus had met on a few occasions over the years, always at social gatherings, their interactions polite and civil but never extending beyond a superficial level of acquaintance. The horrifying prospect of Teejan directly confronting Marcus, of laying bare their illicit affair in all its ugly detail, painted a catastrophic scenario in Simone's mind. The ensuing fallout would be irreversible, a complete and utter destruction of the life she had come to know. Desperation, a primal and overwhelming force, clawed at her. Trapped between the paralyzing fear of her secret being exposed and the potential annihilation of her marriage, a dark, impulsive thought began to take root in the deepest recesses of her mind. "No, Teejan, please," she pleaded, her eyes wide with a terror that was swiftly hardening into a chilling resolve. "Don't do this. Give me more time. We can figure something else out, I promise. Just, please don't do this tonight." But Teejan was unyielding, his mind firmly made up. "It's time, Simone. Tonight. I can't wait any longer." He reached into his pocket, his fingers closing around his phone, a determined glint flickering in his eyes. In the ensuing struggle, a sudden, sharp pain pierced the stillness of the night. A muffled gasp escaped Deshawn's lips, followed by a choked, gurgling sound, and then an eerie, unsettling silence. Deshawn's large frame crumpled to the ground, his phone clattering onto the rough asphalt beside him, the screen momentarily illuminating his now vacant, lifeless eyes. Simone stood frozen, her breath catching in her throat, her heart pounding a frantic, deafening rhythm against her ribs. In her trembling hand, slick with warm, sticky blood, was a heavy, intricately carved paperweight she had impulsively grabbed from the weathered stone bench nearby. The full, horrifying weight of what she had just done crashed down upon her, an overwhelming wave of nausea and disbelief washing over her, leaving her feeling cold and detached from the reality of the situation. Raw, unadulterated panic seized her. She had to think clearly, she had to act swiftly. Her mind raced, desperately trying to make sense of the sudden, violent chaos, to find a viable escape route from this nightmarish scenario. With a grim determination born of desperation, she began to orchestrate a carefully constructed cover-up. Her adrenaline-fueled mind worked with a chilling efficiency. She meticulously moved Deshawn's expensive sports car several blocks away, hoping to create the illusion of a random act of violence in a different location. She then returned to the overlook, her hands trembling as she wiped down the bench, the paperweight, and any other surface she might have touched, desperately trying to erase any trace of her presence. She retrieved Deshawn's phone, her mind already racing, formulating a plausible narrative to explain his absence. Back in the familiar comfort of their Baldwin Hills home, Simone attempted to act as normal as possible, the immense weight of her deadly secret a crushing burden pressing down on her every thought and action. Marcus, thankfully, was deeply engrossed in a crucial project and was working late in his study, the soft glow of his desk lamp illuminating the architectural blueprints spread across his large wooden desk. Simone slipped into their bed, feigning sleep when he finally joined her in the early hours of the morning, her body rigid with unspoken terror. The following morning, the shocking news of Deshawn's sudden and unexpected death sent ripples of disbelief and sorrow throughout the city. The initial, hastily released police reports vaguely suggested a possible robbery gone tragically wrong. Simone outwardly played the part of the shocked acquaintance, offering her carefully rehearsed condolences to mutual friends, her meticulously crafted facade masking the gnawing fear and guilt that relentlessly consumed her from within. Days bled into weeks. The Los Angeles Police Department's investigation into Deshawn's death continued, but with no apparent witnesses and seemingly no clear motive, the case slowly began to grow cold, another unsolved crime statistic in the vast urban landscape. Simone desperately tried to slip back into the comforting routine of her normal life, clinging to the familiar rituals and responsibilities, but the vivid memory of that horrifying night, the indelible image of Deshawn's lifeless eyes staring blankly into the night sky, haunted her waking hours and relentlessly invaded her dreams, turning her nights into a landscape of fragmented sleep and vivid nightmares. Marcus, however, a man who prided himself on his perceptive nature and his deep understanding of his wife, couldn't shake the feeling that something was profoundly amiss. He noticed a subtle but significant shift in Simone's demeanor, a newfound emotional distance, an almost imperceptible guardedness in her interactions with him. She seemed more withdrawn, more easily startled by sudden noises. Her usual vibrant energy, the very essence of her magnetic personality, seemed to have dimmed, replaced by a nervous, almost frantic energy that kept her constantly on edge, her hands fidgeting, her eyes darting around the room. He tried, on several occasions, to gently broach the subject, to understand what was troubling her so deeply, but she would invariably brush off his concerns, attributing her unease to the increasing pressures of her highly competitive real estate career. One quiet evening, while Simone was attending a late-night industry event, Marcus stumbled upon something that irrevocably shattered his world, cracking the foundation of their seemingly perfect marriage beyond repair. An old email, carelessly left open on their shared computer, one that Simone had apparently forgotten to delete, revealed the passionate and intimate affair she had been conducting with Deshawn. The words on the screen, filled with declarations of love and secret rendezvous, hit him with the force of a physical blow, the bitter taste of betrayal a sharp, agonizing pain that ripped through him, leaving him feeling hollow and disoriented. He numbly reread the incriminating emails, each word a damning testament to Simone's elaborate deception, a stark confirmation of the nagging doubts that he had tried so hard to ignore. He felt a profound sense of hurt, a deep wave of disbelief that the woman he had loved with such unwavering devotion, the woman with whom he had envisioned a shared future, could have been living such a blatant and prolonged lie right under his very nose. As he scrolled further through the archived messages, he also discovered a series of increasingly frantic communications from Teejan to Simone, culminating in a heated exchange just days before Teejan's death. The tone of the messages grew progressively more insistent, with Teejan openly threatening to reveal their affair to Marcus if Simone didn't finally leave him. A cold seed of suspicion began to sprout in the fertile ground of Marcus's wounded heart, a chilling realization that extended far beyond the pain of mere infidelity. Driven by a desperate need to uncover the full, unvarnished truth, Marcus began to meticulously piece together the fragments of information he had unwittingly gathered. He recalled Simone's increasingly erratic behavior in the weeks leading up to and following Teejan's death, her heightened anxiety, her persistent attempts to avoid his gaze. A terrible, horrifying thought began to take shape in his mind, a monstrous possibility that initially seemed too unbelievable to even contemplate. Consumed by a gnawing unease and a growing sense of dread, Marcus discreetly contacted a highly reputable private investigator, providing him with the limited information he had gleaned from the emails and Simone's recent behavior. The investigator, a seasoned professional with years of experience in unraveling complex and sensitive cases, began to look into the circumstances surrounding Teejan's death with a fresh, objective perspective. The investigator's initial inquiries led him to the secluded overlook point where Teejan's body had been discovered. He meticulously re-examined the scene, paying close attention to details that the initial police investigation might have overlooked in their rush to judgment. A seemingly insignificant detail, a faint, almost imperceptible trace of a specific, high-end brand of cleaning solution, caught his trained eye. It was a brand that Marcus instantly recognized as the same one Simone exclusively used in their home. Armed with this crucial new piece of evidence, the investigator discreetly focused his attention on Simone. He conducted discreet surveillance, meticulously documenting her daily movements, her interactions with friends and colleagues, her carefully maintained routine. He also delved deeper into her past relationship with Teejan, uncovering the intensity of their long-standing affair and Teejan's increasingly vocal threats to expose it to Marcus. The evidence began to accumulate, slowly but surely painting a damning and increasingly horrifying picture. The timeline of events leading up to Teejan's death, the subtle but telling clues gleaned from the crime scene, the inconsistencies and evasiveness in Simone's behavior following the incident, they all pointed with chilling clarity towards a single, terrifying conclusion. Marcus finally confronted Simone one quiet evening in the sterile atmosphere of their once loving home. He didn't raise his voice in anger, didn't succumb to the raw fury that churned within him. Instead, he calmly and methodically laid out the evidence he had painstakingly gathered, the incriminating emails, the private investigator's detailed findings, the chillingly plausible possibility that she was directly involved in Teejan's death. Simone's carefully constructed facade of normalcy and composure finally crumbled. The color drained completely from her face, leaving it ashen and gaunt. Her eyes, once so full of life and laughter, were now wide with a raw, desperate fear, reflecting the stark reality of her exposed lies. She initially attempted to deny everything, desperately trying to weave yet another intricate web of deceit, but the weight of the accumulated evidence was too overwhelming, the truth written plainly in her every panicked glance and nervous twitch. Cornered, exposed, and with nowhere left to run, Simone finally broke down, the devastating confession pouring out of her in a torrent of uncontrolled tears and choked, heart-wrenching sobs. She recounted the events of that fateful night at the Overlook, the escalating argument with Teejan, his unwavering threat to expose their long-standing affair, the sudden, overwhelming surge of panic, the impulsive grab for the paperweight, the fatal, irreversible blow. Marcus listened in stunned, horrified silence, his heart feeling like a leaden weight in his chest. The woman he had loved, the woman he had trusted implicitly, the woman with whom he had shared his deepest hopes and dreams, was not just an adulterer, but a murderer. The profound betrayal of her infidelity now paled in comparison to the horrifying reality of her violent actions. With a heavy heart and a profound sense of loss, Marcus made the difficult but necessary call to the authorities. The police arrived, their presence a stark intrusion into the quiet sanctity of their home, and Simone was taken into custody. The subsequent investigation that followed Marcus's devastating discovery only served to further corroborate his worst fears. The forensic evidence, combined with Simone's tearful confession and the private investigator's findings, was irrefutable. Simone stood trial in the very county where their love story had once begun, a tragic tale of love, betrayal, and the ultimate act of violence unfolding in the full glare of public scrutiny. The prosecution presented a compelling picture of a calculating woman who had resorted to extreme violence to protect her carefully curated life and reputation. The defense attorney argued that Simone's actions were the result of a crime of passion, a momentary lapse in judgment under extreme duress. But the jury, after days of intense deliberation, ultimately delivered their verdict, guilty on all counts. Simone was sentenced to life in prison in Los Angeles County. The cold, unyielding concrete walls of her cell stood in stark contrast to the luxurious comfort of the home she had once shared with Marcus, a constant, tangible reminder of her irreversible actions. Her life, once brimming with promise and the vibrant energy of success, was now reduced to the stark and desolate reality of her incarceration. Marcus, his heart irrevocably broken and his life irrevocably changed, was left to navigate the arduous and lonely path of picking up the shattered pieces of his existence. The deep trust that had once formed the very bedrock of their relationship was now shattered beyond repair, leaving behind only the bitter taste of betrayal and the haunting memory of what once was. The profound love he had once felt for Simone was now inextricably intertwined with a deep and abiding sorrow, a painful reminder of the darkness that had lurked beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect life. In the end, the sprawling, sun-drenched landscape of Los Angeles County had borne silent witness to a tragic and deeply disturbing tale, a stark and poignant reminder of the destructive power of long-held secrets, the devastating consequences of profound betrayal, and the enduring, often inescapable grip of the past. For Marcus, and for the memory of Teejan, a permanent, heavy shadow had fallen across the once bright landscape of Baldwin Hills. What was once a life full of ambition, love, and legacy was now stained, a dark thread woven into the intricate tapestry of their lives. Simone tried to bury the past, to keep her secrets hidden beneath charm and ambition, but the truth has a way of bleeding through, no matter how deep it's buried. Thanks for watching True Crime Teejan. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a case. Was Simone evil, or simply desperate? Let us know what you think in the comments. Until next time, stay safe. And remember, every perfect life casts a shadow.